Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and X. Now we are joined by Neil, Arwin, Arthur, Tinfoil Hatman. I can't see the rest of the guest list. Who else is in here? Have I missed anybody? I don't think I have. Also a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
Hello, good afternoon. You missed refracted curvature there.
Refracted curvature, my bad.
Season's greetings.
Good afternoon.
Sharibo.
Good to have you all. We will do a couple of housekeeping questions, and then, as you can probably see on screen already, we've got Tinfoil Hatman who is going to present something, and I'm sure he'll tell me on the fly that I need to dig out a video in high resolution, which I'll fiddle and faff with because I've not done it in the pre-show. I'm really sorry, Tinfoil Hatman. We will get to it. Hopefully we'll be reasonably slick. But in the meantime, what question haven't I had for a while? Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Well, you need to be observing some sort of a natural phenomena in the first instance. I don't know what that would be.
Well, that pretty much
I'm going
answers
to
that
take the
question,
hard route
doesn't
and
it?
say,
What is gravity?
Well, that answers. He's just answered that, hasn't he? One deck has, because one deck's pointed out that without a naturally observed phenomena in the first instance, you've got nothing to study to give scientific evidence. So that conclusively answers that question. Well done.
what if I just said wait?
What about weight? Weight is weight.
Yeah, but isn't that like caused by gravity in Newtonian mechanics?
Caused by a
What's
downward
gravity?
bias. No,
Do you mean waiting for the evidence, Arwin?
no.
Oh, with a G and an H.
Well, no, because you can demonstrate that that doesn't occur based on their paradigm with vacuums, as Brian, I'm sure he covered this a couple of weeks ago, has discussed. You need the example?
Right, yeah, I remember that.
Remember it? It's a bloody good
Yeah.
debunking of gravity.
But maybe I just don't agree with it as a baller and say, like, no, that shouldn't happen. I mean, it obviously doesn't.
Well, the assertion is that gas go down, go boom, boom with gravity. If you're going to take the idea or notion of a mass attracting another mass, or indeed bent conceptual 4D space-time, the whole idea of the gravity lie is to get you to be stuck to a spinning water ball, which leads you down the path of gas being pulled to the centre of Earth, so it doesn't require containment. Usually the get around for us pointing out that there is no sky vacuum, space is fake, gas would fill the availability of volume. Gas fills space. Well, then you get gravity. Okay, well, the natural progression is that gas go down, go boom, boom. Gas is being pulled to the centre of the mass of Earth because of this magical force called gravity. Well, in Brian's example, based on their paradigm, you have an example where the gas going down would create a greater force on something being weighed in a vacuum, in line with their paradigm and their disclaimers of gas going down with gravity to keep it all here on Earth in a sphere in a vacuum. Well, when you remove that gas from said vacuum, what would happen in their paradigm if gas is currently going down, go boom, boom, and now it isn't? Well, according to their rhetoric, it must weigh less if the gas is no longer going down, go boom, boom, pressing on the scale. Well, what happens when you actually remove the air from the chamber? Does it weigh less? Because gas is no longer going down, go boom, boom, because you removed it all? No, it doesn't. It weighs more. So that immediately undoes this notion at the end point of a complex discussion about non-scientifically validatable, no phenomena to observe gravity, when it's inferred that weight That is to say, there is a downward bias always in effect, holding you to a spinning ball in a sky vacuum. Well, with that being the case, you must infer, by their claim of gravity, that gas goes down, go boom boom, go splash splash. We've got puddles of this stuff holding onto a sphere in a sky vacuum, violating a law of nature, entropy. Hope that answers your question, Arvin.
But downward is in respect to an inertial plane. So
here we go. Yes, indeed.
How are you going to get being pulled to the center of something and something like weight, which follows a vector with respect to an inertial plane? How are you going to connect those?
But gas does have weight. You can shove gas in a tanker and it'll weigh more.
You didn't listen to what John said.
You didn't listen, no.
Irrelevant.
What the answer to John's question is, what you need in order to achieve that, John, is about I'm going to say 170-year-long storytelling exercise where you originally infer that mass attracts mass through a Newtonian in name only force of gravity that later, about 109, 108 years ago for us, was changed to a conceptual medium of a fourth dimensional space-time bending that you can think of as a force that would hold things to the center of a sphere in space with gas not expanding into it. If you can convolute that over the course of about 170 years, then you'll leave most people so confused, but understanding at a base level that we do definitely have a force holding us to the spinning water ball. That's how you do it.
Well, no, that's the problem is to have down, you need an inertial plane to reference it to, because you're talking about a vertical aspect. So you need a 90 degrees
And
for that.
That's fair enough. But I mean, gas still has weight. If you shove it in a tanker, it will show weight when you put it on a scale.
Yeah, you missed this point. Okay, I missed this point the first time. Let's just...
You'd be weighing liquid there, Aaron, or vapor at least.
No, it's compressed gas. There's some gas when you compress them, they don't turn liquid.
You can't weigh elastic collisions.
Hold on just for a second, please. We're talking past John's point, and it's surprisingly and shockingly, it's only Neil that's picked up on it. He's saying, if you're going to argue about weight, you're arguing about how something moves downwards, regardless of if you're inferring that it's a bias that always exists or not. The reference to that vector down, or indeed up, is with respect to a horizontal. So you're 90 degrees to it when you describe a force of down. So now that I've summarized it for John to make a conclusion in regards to that and its effect on Earth, you know, I don't want to segue. I'm sorry, Paul and Arwin, but I just, until we've all cemented the idea that that John's putting down, I don't want to move past it. We will eventually, but I want John to reiterate his point. It's a good point. Neil's picked up on it. Now I've reiterated it, hopefully to his satisfaction, so everyone's clear what we're talking about. Needs to be in respect to 90 degrees to the horizontal if you're talking about a down, right, John?
Right. The only downward bias discussion that should be ever happening is between a flat earther, between two flat earthers, an Ethereum and people in our camp, whatever you would call that. That's the only discussion that should happen, because heliocentrism can't have a down. They can only have an inward.
Bravo. Any more comment on gravity?
Yeah, I still think gas does have weight. It does, and maybe, sure, it goes down to a flat plane. But I mean, then I can pull in the nonsense and I can be interrupted, of course, as I attempt to lay down my explanation that I haven't really given enough information for you to figure out what I'm even talking about yet.
We didn't hear it because Neil interrupted most of it. Just wait to the end of it,
Once you say flat plane, hold on. Once you say flat plane, your ball's gone.
You don't even know what I'm trying to do.
No, we don't.
Right?
That's usually the case.
I've just been swarmed with people, and I have been for a while, continually try to assert to me that gas has weight, and they do it through this thing. You push gas in a tank, it'll have weight, right? Now, of course, that weight's not proportional to any molecular weight. It's not useful information that you can use somehow like in the metric system or whatever, but it is a reading of a scale, and their minds is blown about this. They think they have an argument with this, and that they think that means gas has weight. There's a lot of people out there.
Yes, fine. I accept that. And John's response that's been walked past again is to say that the only people that should be debating this are the groups that have a horizontal plane to reference. If you're going to describe, let's compare it to something else. If you're going to compare the Atmo at various different heights, and you're going to ascribe, I don't know, a dielectric field to it, well, in terms of the height, you can only describe that height with reference to what John's just described at 90 degrees, the horizontal. Well, we can debate that with an Ethereum, but can we debate it with a globe head? No, we can't. They don't have a horizontal reference, do they? They have an in, as John pointed out. I don't know why everyone's walking past your points over the last month or two.
Yeah,
John.
but I mean, ballers technically fix that very easily. It's just like, yeah, you just bend it in their mind like everything else. I mean, yeah, it's on a flat plane. Well, that flat plane's wrapped around a ball, like everything. So to them,
Nobody's walking past it.
It's just really warped. That's all.
Okay, enough about gravity. We can do a different housekeeping. It's not a question. It's just a housekeeping issue. So, if you happen to be a moderator of mine and you are a member, then I've delayed this so it's tomorrow. I think the show comes out on my second channel if you're not a member. But if you are and you're a mod, please go and watch yesterday's pre-show. So what are we on today? 2015. So it's 2014 Uncut and After Show, which is currently available for members. Because in that pre-show, I went through the steps of what I perceived to be good moderation on the Nathan Oakley 1980 channel, or indeed Nathan Oakley channel, if that's where you moderate for me. And first and foremost, I'm extremely grateful to all of those who, for free, put in their efforts to make this a good platform. First of all, thank you, including Arwin. So you can also listen to today's pre-show where Arwin was awkward about it and dragged it out of it, but that's Arwin, which is slightly disagreeable, and that was kind of the point I was making with him on today's show. But in terms of just a concise rendition of what I believe to be the right way and the wrong way to moderate, then I've discussed it on yesterday's show, and I wanted to draw people's attention to that as it will be coming out I think it's either tomorrow or the day after. That's Friday this week on the second channel if you happen to not be a member moderator. Anyway, that's just something I wanted to draw as a housekeeping aspect, and I can only really do it live to make it relevant to the moment so that people know that that's been done. So that's that, and that's going to be housekeeping for today. So only one question, gravity is going to be it, unfortunately. But what I am going to do, which is going to be a bit of fun, hopefully, and then we'll get on to Tinfoil Hat Man, is a bit of categorization. So we're going to ascribe some descriptions of people and their behaviors to groups. So we're going to be not necessarily stereotyping, but giving a description of sort of categories of people that are in this field that we deal with that is fondly called Flat Earth. Now, I'm going to start with one that's easy for us to all understand, which is a globe believer. So if I say globe believer to you, open brackets, normie, most people know what I'm talking about. They're not talking about somebody who comes and fights with us. They're just talking about your sister, your brother, your father, your cousin, the guy who isn't anywhere near this subject, that just knows because he's been through the average Western world school system that he's on a sphere because he knows it. That's your average globe believer. Category 1. Now, this also, I've put this into a specific order, so there is an intent to the order that I'm going to give you here, because it's the order that you'll find information on YouTube. That is to say that for that guy, if you are to type into a YouTube search something with a question about, I don't know, how Jupiter works, the first search result, the priority, would be given to a general normie. That is to say, globe believer might represent a person that's watching, but in this context, the reason it's at number 1 is because it's also what you'd be fed first on YouTube. So you wouldn't get anything even resembling a flat Earth idea when you're just doing a search about something in the sky for the sake of argument. You'll just find the 20 million subscribed guy that's talking about how your general school taught rhetoric with a frame that is heliocentric around it. And he's not doing it because he's trying to punt heliocentrism as his belief. It's just what he knows to be the truth, and therefore that's what you'll find first on the searches. Okay, so what comes up next if you're more specific in your search and you want to maybe find your way to this subject for whatever means or whatever search you put in? Well, the next thing you find on the list is an anti-flat earther. Now, again, if you're a regular on the show or watching the show regularly, you'll know precisely what I mean when I go to number 2 on the list, which is anti-flat earther. That's what you fed next on the list. Now, if I give you a few names so that you're familiar with who we're talking about your Dave McKeegans, your Simon Dans, your Professor Dave Explains. Those are your anti-flat earthers, okay? So that's what you'll be fed next, were you to, I don't know, search for flat earth. That's what you get. Basically, a fundy globe zealot. That's what that category is. So category 2, anti-flat earther, basically a globe zealot, a religious fundamentalist who has a globe belief that opposes flat earth. So that's that category. Number 3 on the list. Now this is going to be a slight deviation from what you might expect and a new category. An anti-glober. Now bear with me, because this category is actually flurf. This is old school flat earther is what I'm recategorizing as actually anti-glober. Now, I'm sorry to do this to you, Dave Weiss, but you're the reason for this. I don't know if it's going to get your namesake, but anti-glober is as a direct consequence of the processing in my mind as a result of Dave's performance when we critiqued him yesterday. So again, check out yesterday's show if you want to know what I'm talking about. But what Dave does is go through endless cycling of heliocentric claims followed by his professing that it's wrong or stupid or whatever, yeah? But it's always globe rhetoric and how globe doesn't work. Well, that's an anti-glober. What we used to call flat earth, old school flat earth, right? Or formerly, or currently, known as flurfers, right? Well, your average typical flat earther, when we go, oh, I don't even want to be called a flat earther at the moment because of what we're experiencing. It's normally someone on our own side regurgitating their advanced knowledge of heliocentrism and how it doesn't work. Well, that's an anti-glober, isn't it? They're not proving Earth's flat when they go through how the globe doesn't have spin or the globe doesn't have Earth curve. That's anti-globe.
Well, Nathan, they'd like to be called globe skeptics. They have a name for it.
Yeah. I mean, that's a perfect Darwin. Brilliant. Exactly. So they may have in the past, when they were too shy or not confident enough to just say, yeah, Earth is flat, would have said, oh, no, I'm a globe skeptic. And they go, no, you're not. You're a flat earther. We've got a category for you. No. I'm just skeptical about the globe. No, ask John Le Bon. The amount of times he's been called a flat earther. He's like, I'm not a flat earther. Like, well, you go on about how Earth isn't got any curvature or Earth hasn't got this, that, and the other as a sphere with your example of how it isn't. Well, that doesn't make me a flat earther. Yeah, it does. That's what that category means. Like I say, category 3, old school flurf. The old guard, the anti-glober. Moving on. Category 4.
I like it.
Right. And again, that's what you get on the list. So, if you're not searching for just straight up rhetoric from NASA or straight up rhetoric about what you've been taught in school, category 1, globe believer, you then go into you get the Simon Dan. If you're going a bit further down the list, tier 2, you might have a vague inquiry about flat Earth. You're going to find your way to Simon Dan and Dave McKeegan and Professor Dave Explains and, all of those sorts of channels that come up high on the list, second on the list in my categorization. Third on the list, anti-glober, you might find your way to Dave Weiss or Jaron, where they're telling you how the globe don't work. Yeah? Now, yesterday I tried to give an example where if you tell a kid not to do something, but give them this specific example of what they shouldn't do, it just puts the idea in their mind of what they shouldn't do. Look, Jimmy, don't put that fork into the electrical socket. He was just holding a fork. Now he's got the idea of putting it in the electrical socket. Well, anti-globers, category 3, are just that. They're giving you the notions of how the globe functions, but then now it's wrong or stupid. That's not helpful for a flat earther, and they shouldn't really be calling themselves that. Skeptic for the globe, maybe. Anyway, category 4 is a flat earth believer. This might fall into sort of outside and inside of YouTube and videographers and people who watch as well, that both fall into this category. They're normally conspiracy nutters, basically. You might also categorize Etherians and Tartarians into this category too. So they're people who've come to the subject because they're interested in conspiracy. They're interested in 9/11 truth. They're interested in Tartaria or Ether. And they don't actually know Earth is flat. They're a flat Earth believer. You know, they're the mass of what we call flat earthers. Yeah, so they're not really well versed in globe rhetoric. You know, they're not category 3. They're not like Dave Weiss. They just think that maybe we've got free energy because they've heard that from Dave Weiss, and also think that there's been mud floods, and that, you know, 9/11 was an inside job, or whatever it is that they believe in, that they've read a lot about and had lots of various different information about conspiracy, including flat Earth with all the garbage and Vista nonsense. So that's what you get.
Free energy.
You got it. So that's what I'm putting in category 4, a flat Earth believer. You're getting closer to category 5, which is us. Now, this is tentative, but we've got people in our arena that are giving themselves titles. And I was chatting with Paula the other night, actually, and she was describing how the church separated and drawing a direct comparison to how that fragmentation is what we are experiencing in flat Earth now with different denominations. You know, I don't have to list them all for everyone to appreciate what I'm saying. But what I personally see me as, in terms of a comparison to the old school flirfs in category 3, is a new flat earther. That's us. Excuse me. So a new flat earther, as in someone that actually appreciates that Earth is measured flat. They come from their argumentation standpoint from the position of Earth being measured flat and how it's useful because it's flat, or how it's used flat. Well, that's us, new flat earther. That is the only word I could come up with that distinguishes ourselves from the old school guard, the old flirfs, the old FE, what I've now recategorized as an anti-glober.
Well, I categorize it flat Earth generation 2, because it is like it's an evolution. It's just we further developed. We further developed the very roots. Basically, the old guard didn't do that.
What about flat Earth Noah?
Whatever, I'm just putting it into the category just so it's easy to remember on this list. So new flat earther is just a way of saying that, for me, we're coming up on the new year, which is just a useful way of marking something. And what I want going into 2024 is a change in terms of how we approach this subject for the benefit of the people who come. Now, when we started, let's just use Adam, Arwin, and who else is on the panel? Let's just use Arwin and myself and Adam. Right, we've been here almost 10 years. So there is a good chunk of people who are now into getting mortgages, having families, that were spotty little teenagers when we started and had absolutely no interest in the subject whatever. They're still being brainwashed in the schools. We've got a whole new generation of people, right? So when Mark Sargent comes out with the statistics about how many people have been opened up to this idea or would put on a survey that they're actually a flat earther, and the numbers are beyond margin of error, you're like, oh, okay. Although I don't necessarily trust statistics, you're like, oh, that's interesting that more and more surveys pop up where people are willing to express their belief in a flat earth. And that's how it's phrased and that's how it's surveyed. Because that's where we've left off in 2023, and I want to move into 2024 with that not being the case. With what I call a new flat earther saying, yeah, it's measured flat. Oh, what's that? I need to get into a wrangle-dangle with you about how you say your belief in your globe works. I've no interest. But I've got to learn how it works. I've got to be really good at debunking your positive affirmation that you've not proven. I don't need to. As a flat earther, I prove Earth's flat. Now, we, if push came to shove, could be on a debate, as we do basically all day, every day, and still be able to take apart a base level, any heliocentric claim, and in fact twist it into how they've used a flat earth in the first instance. That's where we're at. But I don't want anybody coming to this subject moving forward into 2024 to not know the moment they get here that it's proven flat, measured flat, used flat, built on flat, navigated flat, obviously and observably flat. If they don't know that from the moment they get here, then we're doing something wrong.
By the way, Nathan, I was wondering, what's the year 2024 going to be about? Is it going to be about the year of the angle?
The year of a measured flat earth, a utilized flat earth, a referenced flat earth, An Earth that's flat is what we've got in 2024, not how Earth is not a sphere. Not every single flat earther publishing videos about space debunked, globe debunked, Earth curve debunked. I'm sick of it. I want to turn my back on it. I turned my back on NASA successfully, and I managed to not convince or wrangle dangle, but managed to have people alongside me that were of a similar mindset. You've established that they are liars. So you don't. We joked about it yesterday. Oh, NASA said that they rang the moon like a bell, right? Yeah, we've turned our back on that nonsense. We'll occasionally joke about it as a distant memory of someone that we used to know, like that.
But we don't want to give them too much attention, right? Because that'll just distract it back into that super nonsense.
Yeah, they want you to be arguing about their paradigm, and when you're well and truly in it with NASA in mind, you can't but help argue within their paradigm. Put up pictures, their pretty pictures of the globe, helping and assisting in their brainwashing. We all, us here now on these panels, I can't speak for everyone in Discord, but for the most part, and I know for certain everybody who's on this panel now has successfully turned their back on NASA. We're not interested in their lies anymore, and that's how it should be. Once you identify someone as a lying crap, you turn your back on them because you can't trust anything they say. Well, why don't we extend that to the globe? We don't need to know about how it doesn't work. If you're turning your back on a cult, you don't suddenly have everyone around you tell you how you need to really educate yourself on how that cult worked so you can explain to others how it doesn't. Just turn your back. We can do that with the globe now, and that's what I want in 2024.
We're just people that accept reality for what it is.
You can argue with me all day if you happen to ask my view on the nature of our reality, and I tell you I know it's measured flat. That what about this and what about that? And I can just shrug my shoulders and go, look, man, it's all well and good for you to try and peddle your belief to me, but I don't want it. You know, you trying to convince me that I need to tell you how it is flat. I don't have to. Oh, right, you believe it's a sphere. Good for you. You know, we, moving into 24, should have the confidence where the people we discussed earlier on the list that Arwin said were globe skeptics, what I've called anti-globers, right? Those anti-globers didn't have the confidence to tell the person they were speaking to that Earth is flat. Because they did not know, did they?
No, it's not even that. It's worse. It's that they don't want to be associated with the stigma that comes with it, with the anti-programming against flat Earth. People that are globe skeptics are mostly globe skeptics because they're afraid to be seen as flat earthers.
Exactly.
Literally that. It's worse.
That's exactly what I meant when I said they don't have the confidence. Yeah, loud and proud, flat earther.
Yeah, me too. I'm totally like, oh, really? The conditioning? Yeah, no, I am a flat earther. Yeah. And I'm going to show you that entire conditioning is all nonsense.
But we've been conditioned and brainwashed to believe that we will be ridiculed. And more we're pointing out to our audience that is not the case either. We have endless examples of people who have made a greater circle of friends as a result of this subject, and that haven't lost friends and family as a result of telling them about it. Now, I'm not going to personally ascribe that to us at this stage, but moving into 2024, I want to be able to take the credit for it. I'm going to say, yeah, there's a reason that you can now go to your next man, tell him you're a flat earther proudly, and not end up finding that the only thing you can do to justify it, because you don't really know, is tell them how the globe doesn't work, offending them and starting an argument. If you know that it's flat, number one, you won't feel compelled to tell everyone. You just know.
And yeah, the game has changed, hasn't it? I mean, when I came out for flat Earth, yeah, I did lose friends. Absolutely did I. Now, well, that doesn't necessarily have to happen to newer people that are getting into it. It really changed how it worked. And hey, I might have lost all those friends, but I've gained an entire community. I mean, how dare you, Arwin, say, yeah, community. All you guys, I might not like you guys, I might even get into friction all the time, but I still see you as my community, and you treat me as being part of that community, and I'm very happy with that. right? So I've gained a lot. I might have lost my old friends. I've gained a lot. Just wanted to say that.
Just to round out the point about this list that I made.
Can I say something?
You can go ahead.
Just saying, it's funny you're talking about this. Just I'll be very quickly, because recently the only points I'm talking about with these anti-flat earthers and globers is I'm highlighting the fact that when you observe the horizon, it's horizontal, and all elevation profiles are obtained from a mean sea level. I mean, and that sort of sums it up, really.
Yeah, Earth's
That's
measured
what you
flat.
need to know.
Exactly, Earth's measured and referenced flat. That's all you need.
One deck, we're merchants of reality.
Yeah, indeed. I'm just going to round up this categorization or list forming, fun though it was, excuse me, where I got the motivation to do this. So while I was making a thumbnail a couple of days ago, I searched for globe proof, which obviously as a contextualized search leaves you in a category that can be identified by algorithmic means as someone who's looking to reaffirm their globe faith. It's not like how does Jupiter work or something similar as a search. Globe proof is something that lends itself to, oh, I'm going to start digging into this controversy of flat Earth versus globe Earth as a search. And what I got back just from a Google search was telling, surprising as well. But what I got back brought a smile to my face because it made me aware that our opponents, that is to say the anti-flat earthers, which is what you would be effectively if you're making that as a search, have the same us versus them positioning, the Feast of Nonsense road that we talk about, put to them like we have it put to us. What I mean by that is, if you're going to search for globe proof, what you'd hope for, in the same way I'm trying to hope for this in flat Earth context for 2024, is to just find that globe silver bullet straight on the foot, endless reams of pages and pages from Google of silver bullet globe proof, right? That's what you're looking for. That's what you've typed in. That's not what you get, though. What you get is flat Earth versus globe Earth in the old school term, as in anti-flat Earth versus anti-globe. So that's what you're actually presented with when you search for that. So you go, okay, so the structure that we're in doesn't care if you go down this road as a glober, yeah, or as a formerly known as flurf, right? Anti-glober. They don't care if you go down it trying to debunk the globe or trying to affirm the globe. The road with the Feast of Nonsense is the same for both. Are you trying to search to prove your globe? Well, look at all this quote-unquote flat Earth stuff that's out there. Check it out. Yeah, that's how it's positioned. Well, I'm saying, well, sod that. That might be, that's not my concern. The fact that the, anti-flat earthers have found their way in the same ring, we're all in the same bloody pond, and they've gone on the same road as we have. That's not my concern. My concern is for the people we're trying to separate out of that pond as new flat earthers. To say, no. Yeah, you might have swam through that dirty, horrible pond with all those dirty, horrible anti-flat earthers. They just happen to be swimming through, it's now swimming rather than walking on a cobbled path, but there we go. I'm mixing my analogies. They've swam through it too. Don't worry about them. Now you've swam through that and you're clean on the other side, it's measured flat, right? Don't draw everybody's attention to the crappy, horrible, dirty, murky pond that you had to swim through to get here. Just point out it's just measured flat. You wanted the silver bullet while you were swimming, didn't you? Well, now you've got it. I'm done. Any other comments before we move on to Tinfoil Hat Man?
Yeah, you just want to point people at the shortcut. But you got to realize that a lot of newcomers are actually new to it, and they kind of want to take the scenic route. But it's very good to point out to them, hey, guys, we know you're all into this, but there is a real good shortcut. You're going to have to eventually take that.
Well, it's not just that. It's not really a shortcut. It's the genesis and the conclusion.
Yes. Beautifully put. You're on fire today, John. Carry on.
Well, the argument will start using a flat plane and it will be referenced to a flat plane for the conclusion. So on both sides, whether it's a globe or a pizza pie, they're always going to reference a flat plane. They can't help but not. That's what it is.
It's not a shortcut to a flat plane if you started on a flat plane. It's the genesis of the argument for a globe. That was really well put, John.
It's the fundamentals, isn't it? It's the fundamentals.
Yeah, the genesis is the right word. Okay, any other comments? Full of beans. Passionate for flat earth at the moment. Oh, okie dokie. Right, tinfoil hat man, before you start presenting, do you need me to dig stuff out that I've already got?
I think if you're good with this, the best way to do this is I'll just do it. It's only a 1 minute 45-second video, and then we're mainly going to deal with pictures in the breakdown of it. And I put some stuff in Master B, and I've added more pictures and stuff. I think if you're good, I'll just share, and then maybe at the end or in the after show or something, you could download that 1 minute 45-second and then play it in high res from your setup. Maybe we could do that.
Obviously, it looks nice enough with the truth seeker in this frame, and it'll get worse in terms of the need for resolution as you present what you're presenting. But you're on screen. Feel free. The mic's all yours.
Okay, thanks, Nathan. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you all from here in the UK. Much love and respect to everyone. I'm aware of just how disappointing it will be for you all to learn that, alas, there's no dancing from me this week. Fear not, though, I can definitely assure you all that for future shows, there's much more where that came from. Happy to hear that, Nathan?
No, not particularly.
Well, maybe we should take a voting poll. Panel members can put their hands up. Huh? Anyway, shall we just get straight into the presentation, Nathan?
Yeah, I've got you up, so yes, please.
Okay, so importantly, we're reopening the file on Goldcliff Seabed in the Bristol Channel in South Wales in the UK. Okay, so we're located directly here on the seabed to an observer height of 1 meter, and we're focusing today on the very start. Okay, so if you look here, we're focusing on this very start here. Hopefully you can see my mouse. This is where we're going to be looking. Also, as well, we're going to be looking at the very end. So we're going to be looking down here. Note that when leveling and setting the height of the truth seeker scope, a plane of reference must be used in order to acquire this important data. Therefore, before we even look through the scope, Earth is provably and demonstrably flat. This simply could not work if we were referencing curved surfaces. So, what we'll do is, we'll play the 1 minute and 45-second video that actually is the precursor.
Before you do,
the first video when we looked at the trip.
What I'm going to do, Tinfoil Hat Man, is I'm going to do a quick call to action. So, for my own audience, as we're not sharing another video at the moment, please smash the share button and indeed like. I could give you the YouTube waffle about it helping us in the algorithm, which it does. But moreover, please share the show. There's almost 100 people watching. It's ticked over 100 a couple of times in this show already. But this is the main event. So, yeah, please share the show if you've not done so already. Hopefully me asking you to do so has given you enough time to just hit that button once and then click go or whatever it is when you press the share button. But hopefully we'll get well over 100 people for this presentation. Go ahead, Tinfoil Hatman. I just wanted to do a quick call to action.
No problem, Nathan. We'll just play the whole thing. It's only 1 minute 45 seconds. We can all just have a brief chat about stuff. Anybody can comment. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to go back. We're going to pause at 26 seconds and I'm going to break this down. Okay. So this, like I say, is the one. It begins just before the I think it was the second presentation. You know, the one with the train, Nathan.
Yes.
At 10 miles. So this is just 1 minute and 45 seconds just before that. So we're gonna break all this down. What you're looking at now here, we're just gonna go back to this and we're gonna break that section down. But hopefully you see that green truck. But this was just the precursor to getting all set up to do that full 36-minute 4K pan of the whole area. And so I was just familiarizing myself with, focusing and what was going on really. So yeah, it's only 1 minute 45 seconds long. We are looking at 10-mile distance. But like I say, I'm going to break this all down. Do you remember here? This is that mast and that building, and then we're coming to Seabank. But we're already 1 minute 11 into it. There's just 30 seconds left. It's just this brief precursor video to what you've already all seen. So yeah, just coming up now to 15 seconds left. And it's important that we go back and break down what was actually taking place there. And probably the best way I'm going to do this, Nathan, is I'll probably just go to the picture rather than the actual video. So that's the end of the video. So if we now just go to kind of, a reasonable picture that I screenshotted of that, right? Okay. So, according to Google Earth, the white building that you see in here is part of a company called CPI Euromix. That's according to Google Maps. It sits on an elevation of 6 meters, and it's just short of 10 miles away at 9 points.
Sorry to interrupt. Can you just wave your mouse over what you're specifically talking about?
Yeah, sure. So you see this building here?
No.
Can you see my mouse?
I can't see your mouse.
You can't see my mouse. So there's the building in the left of the image, just above the rocks, the white building.
Looks a bit like a castle.
Yeah, it's like it's like a cement company. It's called Euromix. So I'm going to assume it's like a cement mix factory. With the big funnel things. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, making slurry. Okay, fine.
Yeah. So I don't know why you can't see my mouse. Hang on a minute. Let me just see.
Don't worry about it. I wish I hadn't said. Put it back. Put it back.
Right. Okay. Can you see my mouse now?
Yes.
Right. Okay. So we're talking about this building here. Okay. So I'll show you. If we go to pick 7 here, I'll show you. So you can still see my mouse. It's this building here. So when we fired off, we were looking here at this mast. When we were looking at the train passing over here. But if you look here, this is 9.9 miles. It's just short of 10 miles, and it sits on an elevation. If you can see in the bottom right, I'm not sure if you can see, but it sits on 6 meters. So this Euromix building sits on 6 meters.
Are you talking about the? We can't see your mouse. I was lying. I just don't want you to mess around with it. You're talking about the greyish building on the right?
On the left.
On the left.
The white building. The white building.
On the far left.
Not on the far left. It's do you see the roundabout? So if you follow the roundabout in the middle of the image, if you just go left, then you'll see a building that stood up.
Oh, it's got a line to it. Yeah, I can see that now. Gotcha. Okay,
it's got the line to it. Yes.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you.
I don't know why you can't see my mouse. That's weird. But anyway, so according to Omni Calculator, so let's go here. Omni Calculator assumes a 3959 mile radius ball and provides precisely 0 evidence to back this ridiculous assumption against reality, right? But what it's showing is that at 9.9 miles, obscured object part is 12 meters. So this is just showing what Omni calculator uses as the basis for its arbitrary assumption. So if we look at this, it's basically showing the fixed and definitive ball model. Yeah. So that can just be checked out, but basically every mile, it's like 8 inches per mile squared. The curvature drops away from you. Okay. So if we go back to pick 1, so if we're now looking at this picture, so 12 meters, according to that in that image, must not be seen, as it must be hidden behind Earth's curve. So again, this white Euromix building on the left-hand side, it's sitting on 6 meter elevation. But clearly, we see that it's not hidden, right? So further to this, onto a different type of calculator now. So if we take a look at this, Walter Bislin's very fraudulent advanced Earth curve calculator, which in actual fact is no such thing. In this ridiculously stupid calculator, Conman Walter does not use the assumed geometric 3959 mile radius curvature drop that Omni calculator does use. Rather, Walter simply attempts to hijack perspective and then call it Earth curve. Walter is simply using the differential between eye level, notice eye level, and surface level as the primary basis for his highly fraudulent perspective hijacking calculations, right? As can be seen here. So he's using these eye levels and these surface levels, horizontals, and the differential. He's hijacking perspective, calling it, what is he calling it? What was he thinking? Is he thinking like people wouldn't notice or something? So clearly, those 2 levels that he hijacks in place of perspective, surface level and eye level, the top 2 horizontal lines here, this is from his calculator, they automatically and by definition directly reference that assumed 3959 mile radius ball that's in the Omni calculator is based on. You know, the one that's never actually been measured. Right, so with that out of the way then, let's just go back to picture 1, okay? Notice that those trees and hills in the background are approximately 14 miles away. The road that you see, so again, if you can't see my mouse, there's a road. In the video, did you see the green truck?
We can see your mouse now. It's just because it was so small.
Oh, right, okay. And I've actually enlarged my mouse icon as well. It's really big and chunky here now, but I don't know why it's not displaying as big and chunky. But so basically, there's a road that runs here. We actually saw in the video a green truck that's on that road. So the elevation of that road is 11 meters at around 9.8 miles distance.
Right. Am I right in saying that the base of this, what I call castle slurry factory, is below that?
Yes. So the road is this is on a 6 meter elevation, yeah, and the road is a bit higher. It's 11 meters, and then it goes down where the roundabout is, and then it goes to 8 meters when we were looking at that yellow lorry in front of Seabank Power Station. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Okay, right. So now we're going to get to the important stuff, right? If we go to pick 8, okay. So what we're now looking at is the banking just before that slurry Euromix place, okay? Hope you can see the direct line of sight from the scope, the yellow line, yeah? So the seabed in front of the banking to the right of that white building that we were looking at through the scope is 9.6 miles away, right? You see here, 9.61 miles. And in the bottom right, it's an elevation of 1 meter to where this point is at the end of the direct line of sight from the telescope. Okay. So then we go to pick 9. And what you'll see is that I'm now starting to pull back away, back to our observer location, our observer point. Okay. So we're now down to 8.89 miles and 0 meter elevation now. So obviously the banking resolves up 1 meter. Hopefully you can see my mouse, and then goes up and then, you know, hits this road. And then your road here is like 11 meter elevation. The slurry place is 6 meter elevation, you know, obviously sat behind the road. But as we now just start to come back, you'll see that here we're at 0 meter elevation now, and we're at just short of 9 miles. Okay. Then next image, we go further back still. We're at 8.7 miles, and we're now at -2 meters elevation in the seabed. Here, you see this?
Yes.
Then next image, we go back further. So we're now just over 8 miles, 8.07. We're now -5 meters. You get the idea? Next image. This is now actually -17 meters. It's showing -1 here because if you move the mouse when you're taking the screenshot, I didn't notice that I'd moved my mouse, and then I've put my mouse somewhere else and then taken the screenshot. But this is actually -17 meters according to Google Earth.
I wouldn't worry too much.
Yeah, at 5.5 miles. Okay, so now we're at 5.5 miles from our observer location. And this is -17 meters, this, if you check it out on Google Earth. Okay. So next image, 13. Okay, we're pulling back even further now. And you'll see that we're back up to around 0 meter elevation as we get closer to our observer point at just under 3 miles now. So we're 2.97 miles. And we're now at -2 meters. So obviously there's been a trough section here, but we're now just short of 3 miles, okay, to this point here at -2 meter. Remember, we're at 0 meter elevation on the seabed with a 1 meter observer height of the scope, okay? So the final image in this little section is showing you here that we're at 0.3 meters, 0.3 miles, excuse me, from our observer location here. And we're at 0 meter elevation at this point here, where we're looking only 0.3 miles away from us. Okay, do you see this, Nathan?
Yes.
Very importantly then, let's just go back to picture 1 here, okay? Notice the land rocks jutting out in the foreground. You see these?
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
Okay, right. So those rocks that are jutting out are being resolved by the truth seeker scope at a distance of, wait for it, approximately 500 meters. Let's just go to pick 15 here. You see this? This is Google Maps. This is showing our observer location, the red pin. Do you see this? Can you, is this legible to you?
Just about.
537.26 meters to this land jut section. And at the bottom, hold on again, it'll show you 1,762 feet. So it's 537 meters to that land jut section that we're seeing. So the reality then, we'll go back to this image, yeah, is that pretty much everything we see in this image and in the entire 36 minutes of video footage taken at this Gold Cliff location is effectively being resolved from our actual observer point in the foreground, all the way through to 35 miles distances in the background, which are at the end of this incredible video footage. Wow. Do you even see that the truth seekers resolving in front of the 500-meter land jut? Do you see this?
Yes, you can see. Again, that's what I was going to bring up in terms of how this is possible at all for you to have the view. It has to be flat. And it's exemplified by the fact that you do have something that could potentially obstruct in the near foreground, because that's going to massively exacerbate, if that's the right word, the effects of a drop in the background. But it isn't. It is more obviously flat as a result of this, because it's what, 500 meters, the rocks?
Yeah, the rocks are 537 meters. This land jut point, or let's just call it approximately 500 meters. And then the truth seeker is still resolving even before this.
Right.
So at this point, would anybody like to comment? You know what I mean? I'll open it up for anybody who wants to comment or say anything.
Well, it fits into the obviously and observably flat category, doesn't it?
Absolutely, 100%. But I'd just be interested if anybody else would. I'd like to open it up for anybody else before I move on. We'll move on and just look at the end of the video. So Monkstone Lighthouse, we're just going to just briefly look at that. It'll be quicker than this situation here. But does anybody want to comment on what they've seen here? Because look at the resolve. You're resolving a few hundred meters in the foreground. You're resolving all of this up the banking, all of this going up. Then if we actually go back and play the video, let me just show you the video again. Hang on a minute. Well, I will if I know what I'm doing. Clearly, I don't know what I'm doing. Right. Let me just show you the video again here. So let's just look. Remember what I told you about the let's full screen this. Remember what I mentioned about the elevation of this? Hopefully you can see my mouse, but this is set on 6 meters elevation. Remember, at just short of 10 miles, Omni calculator, the globe Earth curve mass say that it's 12 meters. Must not be visible. But it was just a car just then. I don't know how well you see it, because what I'm actually seeing is absolutely excellent 4K 30 FPS. And of course, you're not going to see, but you see, this is the start of the video where the train went past. Do you see the truck? Do you see the truck on that road? Can you see this? I don't know if you can. Hopefully
you can.
You can.
You're waving your mouse over it.
Sorry, I'm.
It's fine. It's fine.
What I'm saying is that road there, that truck going up that road there, that road is 11 meters. So everything below here must not be visible. But we resolve it. Look at it. Black bird just lands on deck here. What's that? Another one? You know what I mean?
Well, on behalf of Ruhif, I would like to challenge height above sea level as the reason that we can see it.
Right. Did you not hear the start of the presentation? Would you like to, Tinfoil Hatman, reiterate your leveling process with the Truth Seeker telescope to John in rebuttal to his, on behalf of Ruhif, claim that there is somehow an argument to be had about potentially at the end of the argument proving Earth's a sphere by debating about the elevation that you are at? Please, can you reiterate your point?
Obviously, when you set it up, when you set the scope up, I mean, it was John that helped me, understand all this, because I'm learning about everything here. But it was John that helped me actually understand it, And it's like when you're leveling in any height that you want to take into account or establish what height you're at, you have to reference against the horizontal plane. I mean, how else can you do it? And then the other thing is, I've heard it's at the end of last week's presentation. Adam was talking about needing to be 24 meters high elevation at observer height. Do you remember this conversation last week? You do realize, right? I mean, that's just calling me a liar and me and my wife a liar because we were on the bed where we show you and we were 1 meter elevation with the scope. So, notwithstanding the fact he's calling me a liar, you also said that I were at 6 meters or something for that water channel outlet. And then, because of Monkstone, Adam worked out I now need to be 24 meters. Well, just to point out that if you go onto Google Earth and have a look around all the topography in that area, you're not going to find anything close to 24 meters around there to even get up and get onto.
So it's you're at 24 meters. So that's taller than, when you drive past a fire station and they've got a little tower that's about, those are about 20 meters.
He's taller than some of the lighthouses that I've been looking at, Nathan, and resolving over the flat plane.
Isn't it absurd? I love that they have to go there. But we've, again, slightly skirted John's point in answer to his question on behalf of Ruhif.
John, please go ahead. I'm happy to let John answer his own question here. I'm happy to listen to John.
Well, no, you have. You've done a satisfactory job of telling him that when you establish horizontal, when you're leveling the scope, that requires Earth as a horizontal plane of reference to achieve.
Yeah.
John, you still there? No, he's obviously dealing with kids screaming at him.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm sorry. I was
That's okay.
dealing with kids.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's a mixture of confessional debating and a red herring when Ruhif does that, because he's going to invoke the flat plane to try to argue with someone about the flat plane. The 24 meters or whatever is not above the curve.
The whole thing's absurd. It shows insanity. You want to argue like that, a debate like that, or whatever? You're clearly insane.
Indeed. Was there a little bit more that you wanted to play for us?
Yeah, so if we hang on a minute. So if we do right, what we're going to do now is just fast forward to the end.
One quick comment, if I could.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
Just in terms of this height, observer height, and you've reported it lovely. The only thing I'm looking at is within any claim, if you were 24 meters above the deck, the proportionality, the relationship between the foreground and background of that rock would be very different. You'd be looking down onto the rock.
Yeah.
And you can see from what you're looking through the telescope, there's only one position that telescope can be to allow the background to sit in the ratio that it is with the foreground. And how much of the foreground you can see and how low tells you that certainly to me, that image is being generated at a similar height to those rocks.
Yeah, the way that it presents, Adam, tells you, doesn't it?
Yeah. You're not looking down on it, or you're not looking down some 20 odd meters down to those rocks. Look how the perspective continues in the background. Yeah, it's continuing up the way, as Brian would say. Yeah, not you looking down.
Yeah, it's the way that it's all resolving. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, at the end of the day, we went on the seabed. We were located where we were, and it's a panicky situation down there because the tides are furious. But anyway, yeah, you're absolutely right, Adam. People just don't want to accept reality, do they? They don't, when it's staring them smack bang in the face. They just want to, for whatever reasons, for whatever motives, whatever. They just don't want to accept it. Well, that's not my problem.
I think this one's 19 meters. This fire station tower. So you're on top of that, apparently. Man, we're higher than that.
Are you showing this in the
live stream?
On the live stream.
Yeah, it's in Skype. Anyway, it's just a fire station tower, just to give you a visual idea.
Yeah. So I'm up there. What's that? 19.
I think this one's 19. I couldn't find one that was 24 on the fly. I just grabbed the first one I could.
The Truth Seeker does extend up with the crank handle, but it'll only go to about 2.1.
It won't extend up to 24 meters then.
No, well, I can put some, probably, am I deceiving lying flurfer? Did I put some extension poles in it and crank it up to 24 or something? What did I do? I don't know.
Don't make a statement like that. That will now be used as evidence against you. Clearly, you've got these 24-meter extender poles. And then, therefore, that's clearly the height that the picture was taken at.
I'll tell you what I do actually have. You know, one of those grabber sticks. Have you seen those long grabber? You squeeze it like a trigger and it pinches and picks stuff up, you know, like litter pickers.
I got one of them held up in the air with your telescope stuck to it. Yeah, just to get that height.
Yeah, so it's crazy. I mean, all I will say to the audience and the viewer is, like, you know, make your own mind up. But I'm showing you, the Truth Seeker is showing you the reality on the ground. And like I say, I mean, you know, before you even look through the scope, you've got to do all the referencing against the plan. You've got a plan of reference. So yeah, I don't want to take like a massive amount of time just going to the last week's video right at the very end, and we'll not load the video up. I've got the images. So let me just load those up. If you just talk a minute while I just load those up, Nathan.
I can do better than that. I can give you some background music so everyone can chill to it. Dun dun. Dun 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 dun. Is that enough time?
No.
Dun 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 dun.
Right. Yeah, that's great. Right, thanks. You need auto tune. We need to sort auto tune on your vocals, Nathan.
Oh, thank you.
Right, so I just want to quickly clarify the foreground situation from Monkstone Lighthouse. Okay, so we remember Monkstone Lighthouse. Oh, look at this. Can you see my mouse? Captured this bird here. See this bird just swooping, an eagle or something. Awesome. Right, notice the land in the foreground. You see it at the bottom?
Yes.
Google Maps shows this land as being around the 500-meter mark too. Let's just go to pic 12. Okay, so now we were looking to the right at that land jut when we started the video pan, and then we panned all the way around. And so if you can imagine this just sweeping around, and now we're now looking at Monkstone Lighthouse down here, and 561.14 meters to there's like a rocky section and where the land juts out. 1,841 feet. So when we are ending the video, we've actually also got in the foreground this reference point too. So you see it?
Kinda.
Here in the foreground, you see? At the bottom?
Yes.
500 meters away. Furthermore, just right of Monkstone Lighthouse in the video, I don't know if you noticed last week, but there's a water buoy and a water buoy marker, right? Oh, hang on a minute. Which image is that? It is pic 9, right? So here, so literally just right when we were panning, we had Monkstone Lighthouse, and then literally just a second or two, we pan right, and we see this water buoy marker. Do you see this? Can you see this, Nathan?
Yes.
With my mouse?
Yes.
Do you notice that it's presenting itself just before the horizon sea level? Are you able to determine that in the resolution that you're seeing this? Do you see it's presenting before the horizon?
Yeah.
So that's horizon obviously is a horizontal reference point, by the way. But I haven't been able to precisely locate this marker, but the Bristol Channel Admiralty chart, which is here, right? There's these Admiralty charts that you can get that show you what's in them. It's actually showing, hopefully you can see my mouse, it's showing some stuff here. And I'm going to, well, maybe somebody who's got time to, can figure this out, along with the boy's height and elevation, because that would provide an additional demarcation point for the previous image. It would for this, because this, if you look, Monkstone's presenting behind the horizon. You see, so an educated guess, I think somewhere in the region of what 6 to 10 mile distance mark is where that water buoy is going to be. That's just literally just as we pan right. But it's important. It's interesting because it's Monkstone's presenting behind, water buoy is presenting before the horizon as well. Plus, you've got this foreground here that we know is about 560 meters. So we've got Monkstone Lighthouse elevated on a small reef at a distance of 12.03 miles, with a tower height of 23 meters, presenting itself behind the sea level horizon. Then we've got Minehead Hills in the background at a distance of over 35 miles. And they're around 200 to 250 meters elevation. I'll just very quickly show you those. But you've basically got the background. So this is our observer location here, and we're just shooting out. You'll see that here it's 35 miles distance to those Minehead Hills in the background. About 229 meter elevation. You see, this is the line of sight. So it's these hills that we're looking behind Monkstone Lighthouse. I'll just call them Minehead Hills. But you see the 35 miles, 230 meter elevation. And this is when the lowest you can go down in Google Earth 3D, and you can see that that's what the hills are that are representing in this image. You see the top where this bird is, and then you see the hills representing there.
Yes.
Okay. So you've got all that, plus you've got this foreground, a land jut only several hundred meters. So in conclusion, then, in the same way this observation started with a land jut just several hundred meters away from our observer location, so too here does the 36-minute video footage end with a land jut at the bottom here, only approximately 500 meters away. But then not only that, you can actually see some of the fencing that extends quite a way out into the Bristol Channel seabed in that area too. So if we just very briefly go back now to that panoramic video, do you see here? If we look just here, I'll full screen this. Can you see this fencing here? So I don't know whether you can, but there's like fence posts that go up here, and you'll see on the video, last week's video, as the video ends, as we start panning this area, you'll see these fence posts come into view. So you can see how close that fencing is to our observer location. You can almost reach out and touch it. So again, it's still even more. It's even less than 500 meters that the truth seekers resolving. So the final thing then, right, is just based on the fact that the geometric horizon, as presented by pseudoscientists in the heliocentric model, can present itself no more than 1.225 times the height in square feet of the observer. In this case, 3.28 feet observer height with a geometric horizon distance of 2.22 miles, supposedly being visible at all times as we pan from left to right in the video. Why then would it be the case that no matter where you pause that video, not once do you ever see anything other than every single thing being fully resolved from 2.22 miles up? The distance is over 35 miles. All in glorious resolution and detail by the Truth Seeker telescope. Clearly, there's only one reason for all of that video footage to present itself in this way. Any clue as to what that reason might be, Nathan?
Earth is flat. We've got 100 people watching. Do you guys want to discuss this at leisure in the after show? If so, I'll round out this live show now. If not, if you're all super keen, we'll have a discussion for 5 or 10 minutes while we're still live, as we've got a good audience. Please share the show if you haven't done so already. Thank you if you have done.
Keep going.
That's dependent on you guys all being chatty about it.
I'm just trying to point out, really, my final point there is that from our observer location here, the geometric, I don't want to swear, the geometric horizon from our height, our observer height, is 2.22 miles out, yes? So as we pan around in that 36 minutes of video footage that we've covered over, what, now 6-7 weeks or whatever it is now, at 2.22 miles, Earth should be curving and dropping and curving away. Yet in 36 minutes of footage, we never see this. We don't see anything even remotely like it. What we do see is how everything should present itself when you're looking over a flat plane, and that's what we see. Clearly, Earth is flat, and that is kind of it. I'm done.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Tinfoil Hat Man. That was an excellent presentation, as always. I'm sure there's lots of stuff for people to get their teeth into in that. We'll see, as I say, if this develops a discussion immediately, or if not, I'm going to round out this live stream and ask people to stay tuned.
Happy for anybody to say any thoughts, any conclusions, or ask me anything, whatever. You know, I'll mute.
I just want to say, like, technically, I've seen a lot of this over the years, but I do have to say, like, the quality of what you do is really high. It's pretty astounding to see that there's somebody's always upping the game, even though we're like in the arena for like almost a decade. It's pretty amazing.
Thanks, but I'm telling you now, what you see is not remotely close to what I see. When you're dealing with the raw image, the raw footage, what I'm sat now watching on my 4K display all the time just makes me go, wow. You know, and that's just nature of the beast. That's just like Nathan, you were describing the other week. We're going through about 20 processes here to get that out to the end viewer's eyeballs. You know, it's going through absolutely all sorts of stuff, isn't it?
Well, I
don't care what you show me. The fact of the matter is, Rufy said, the boat is on the land.
Yeah. And besides, terrestrial refraction, it's also funny.
If you want to suggest that this is refraction taking place here, again, you're gonna show yourself, you're gonna expose yourself for being a nutter. We're not the nutters.
Well, technically, there is refraction taking place. It's just not terrestrial refraction because that doesn't exist.
Yeah. Was refracted? Refracted. Were you just going to say something? I think I just heard refracted, sir.
I was.
Hold on, Owen.
Yeah, I was going to ask, have you been able to actually find a horizon with this thing yet?
What do you mean?
The question is asking you is what you're seeing is the demarcation point between land and land. Now, previously, because it was a diffraction limit, it was alleged to be a Earth curve edge horizon. You don't have that. So what he's asking you is, have you looked over a wide enough expanse beyond the resolution limit of your camera where you can actually develop a point between land or sea and sky?
Well, every time I see a horizon, like let's say 5 mile distance, 10 mile distance, 15 mile, you just power through again, and then that horizon's somehow just being shattered out of existence, and then you see another one, then you see another one, and then if you power through again, you see another one. So yeah, is it?
Well, now I'm seeing
geometric horizons don't exist.
No, I'm seeing where the like the trees appear to meet the sky or the mountains. You know, I'm seeing that. But as far as a point where you could say that the land or sea level appears to meet the sky. I'm yet to see one of those. Have you been able to find one yet?
No.
Or to rephrase it, you're showing topographical horizons, and what we want is the alleged to be physical geometric sphere edge at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. In actuality, a practically applied flat Earth proving level tool called the horizon. Well, what
Anthony,
we now know
sorry, no.
What we now know of the horizon in terms of what it actually is, that would be a resolution limit. You, with an extended resolution limit range tool, are going to find it hard to find that horizon, aren't you?
Yeah, very hard. Very elusive. Anthony has suggested certain observations. Brian has suggested certain observations. I was even speaking with Adam. Adam wants an observation clarifying. So all of these things are going to take place. 2024 is going to be amazing for that. And then, of course, I've got my own observations. I've got a few. There's already been some observations further to this observation one that have been done that I actually have and under my belt and have the video for and everything. But just that combined, all these future observations that are going to take place between all these people and all these recommendations, it's going to be very interesting, no?
So you're saying 2024 is going to be the year of the truth seeker reveal?
Yeah, the truth seeker is going to rip everything apart, and it's going to tear down. It's going to just tear the fabric away. It's going to there's going to be an unveiling, isn't there? That's basically what is going to happen. It's going to show you what the reality is, not what the again, I don't want to swear, what these people say and hide behind, and all their mental gymnastics that they con people with, you know.
With that, I'm going to say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, though, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So with 100-odd people watching, massive thank you to all of you who smashed the share button, liked, commented, subscribed, joined as a member, and all that good stuff. Of course, another massive thank you to today's Discord and G+ panels, including Tinfoil Hatman for making his presentation. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!